All right, shalom. All praise is due to Yahweh. In today's video, I'm going to go a little bit over Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And based upon the context of the book of Deuteronomy and the Torah, I'm going to prove to y'all that all 12 tribes of Israel, which are of Negroid descent, those are forefathers of Negroid descent with the white DNA E1B1A, came over here in cargo slave ships. So this is going to cut all these different groups, all these different One West camps, teachings that the Hispanics and Native American Indians came over here based upon the fake book of Second Ezra's, the 13th chapter, or the fake book of Second Ezra, because Second Ezra's is not part of the scriptures. The Apocrypha in general is not part of the scriptures. So I'm going to go over a couple precepts, and not only that, I'm going to show you that all 12 tribes came over here and called them slave ships, which were all Negroes, but it's also going to cut another doctrine that other cats are out there pushing in regards of some of the different tribes all throughout the sub-Saharan region of Africa or West Africa. You're also going to find out that they also are not Israelites. As you can see in front of the screen, you got the 12 tribes of Israel on the bottom, which are the so-called Negroes. So I'm going to start off over here with Deuteronomy. Let me make sure this thing is recording. All right. Deuteronomy 1:1. And it says that these be the words which Moses spake to who? To all Israel on this side of Jordan. Because when they go down to verse 28, they saying that verse 28 only applies to the southern kingdom. They only say that only applies to 3 tribes: the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. But when you study and read the whole context of Deuteronomy, Moses is having a conversation with who? With all Israel. He's not just having a conversation with, number one, there were no southern kingdom at that time. So that kills it right there. And also going to prove that the Apocrypha is also off. As we can see, Deuteronomy 1:1-3 says, these be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on this side of Jordan, in the wilderness, and the plain, over against the Red Sea, between Paran and Thopel, and Laban, and Hazeroth, and Dizabab. And it came to pass in the 14th year, and the 11th month, on the first day of the month, that Moses spake unto who? The children of Israel, not unto the children of Judah. You see? According unto all that Yahweh had given him and commandment unto him. Deuteronomy 3:18. And I commanded you that at that time, saying, Yahweh, your power, had given you this land to possess it, and ye shall pass over armed before who? Your brethren, the children of Israel, not the children of Benjamin. It says the children of Israel, all that are meet for war. But you're going to notice one thing, that none of these other groups who follow the protocols of One West will ever bring any of these points out, because they got to keep on perpetuating this lie that Hispanics and natives are Israelites and they are part of the lost 10 tribes of the nation of Israel. And that's a lie. Deuteronomy 4:1. Then I'm going to jump down to verse 45 and verse 47. And it says, now therefore, hearken who? O Israel. It didn't say, hearken O Levi. It didn't say, hearken O Judah. It didn't say, hearken O Benjamin, or the kingdom of Judah, or the southern kingdom. Moses is having a conversation with the whole nation. Unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live, and go in and possess the land which Yahweh, thy power your fathers, giveth you. And this is the law which Moses set before who? Let's see if he said it before the kingdom of Judah. Before the children of Israel. You see, read the whole book of Deuteronomy. These are the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments which Moses spake unto who? Again, the children of Israel, after they came out of Egypt. I'm going to go to Deuteronomy 5:1 so you can see the pattern. And Moses called who? He called all of Israel, or all of Yaoshaal. Not Yaoda, not Loe, or Bunyamin. He called all the children of Israel. He spoke to all the children of Yaoshaal and said unto them, Hear, O who? Israel again, not hear, O Judah, Benjamin, Levi, or the southern kingdom. Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them and keep and do them. Deuteronomy 6, verse 3 to verse 4. Hear therefore again, O Israel, O Yaoshaal, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as Yahweh thy power, your fathers, have promised thee in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O who again? Israel. Yahweh our God is one Lord. Read the book of Deuteronomy, and it will give you all the answers. It will put all the pieces together in regards to Deuteronomy 28 and 68. You don't see that all the rest of these other groups out there are just lying. They're all full of shit, man. I'm going to go to Deuteronomy 10 and 6. And it says, And the children of who again? Israel took their journey from Beherat of the children of Jaakan to Mosera, and Haran died, and there he was buried. And Eleazar his son ministered in the priest's office in his stead. Verse 12, and now Israel again, the whole nation, not just three kingdoms. What doth Yahweh thy power require of thee? But to fear Yahweh thy power, to walk in all of his ways, and to love him, and to serve Yahweh thy power with all of thy heart and with all of thy soul. So Moses having a conversation with all of Israel, all the Israelites. Deuteronomy 11 and 6. And what he did unto Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, the sons of Reuben, how the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, in their households and their tents, and all the substance that was in their possessions, in the midst of who? Of all Israel again. Not of all Judah, Levi, or Benjamin. Still being in reference in regards of all Israel. Deuteronomy 13 and 11. And all Israel, all Yaoshaal again, it says, shall hear. It didn't say all three tribes. It says all Israel. It's crystal clear. In fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this among you. Deuteronomy 20, verses 1 to 3. Then thou goest out to battle against thine enemies, and seest horses, and chariots, and a people more than thou. Be not afraid of them, for Yahweh thy power is with thee, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be, when ye are come nigh unto battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people, and shall say unto them, what? Hear, O Israel. Crystal clear, clear cut. Ye approach this day unto the battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint, fear not, and do not tremble, neither be ye terrified because of who? Because of them. Deuteronomy 27 and 9. And Moses and the priests, the Levites, spake unto who? All of Israel. This is before Deuteronomy 28 chapter. He say he spoke to all the Israelites, saying, take heed and hearken, O Israel, this day thou art become the people of Yahweh thy power. It didn't say only 3 tribes became the people of the Creator. It said all Israel. Verse 14. And the Levites shall speak and say unto all the men of who? Again, of Israel, with a loud voice. Now you're going to start putting all the pieces together in regards to Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord shall bring thee unto Egypt again with ships, by the way thereof I spake unto who? Unto thee. Who is the thee? And the Lord shall bring thee all 12 tribes, all Israelites, from the northern to the southern kingdom, and vice versa. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there you're going to be sold, or you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondman and bondwoman, and no man shall buy you. So based upon all the contents of the verses that I just read, it proves that the quote-unquote so-called Hispanics and Native Americans did not come over here in 722 BCE. Because according to Deuteronomy 28 chapter, all 12 tribes came over here in cargo slave ships. And it also proves that all the different tribes in Africa, such as the Igbos, the Ashantis, the Yoruba, the Lamba, the Akan, the Bantu, the Mandinka, the Iwi, the Wolof, the Fulanti, and so on and so forth, they're not Israelites. In order for you to be an Israelite, number one, you got to fulfill all the curses of Deuteronomy 28 chapter. If your forefathers did not come over here on cargo slave ships, you're not an Israelite. If your Y chromosome on your father's side of the family is not E1B1A and you never came over here on cargo slave ships, you're not Israel. Because all the different tribes that I just mentioned in West Africa, they also have the exact same Y chromosome as us. They have the exact same Y DNA chromosomes as the American, so-called American Negroes scattered throughout North, South, Central, in America and the Caribbean Isles. The reason for that means because they are twin brothers Esau. They're Edomites, but they never came over here in cargo slave ships. Because you got all the rest of these other niggas out there, these RBG Pan-African Israelites who be teaching this nonsense. And at one point I was also teaching it too, until you start doing some more research, that the people from West Africa are not Israelites. Because these niggas want to go out of their way to Africanize our book, to the point where they go out of their mind and say that the land of Israel is located in Africa. How in the hell is the land of Israel going to be located in the land of Ham? The land of Israel will be located in the land of Shem, but that's a whole other topic. When you're dealing with the sub-Saharan West Africans, such as the Fulanti, the Yoruba, and so on and so forth, and you do a little bit of historical research, they were the ones who sold us to the Europeans. And they also had our people in captivity all throughout West Africa. So the same energy that a lot of you cats out there, you want to bring forth towards the white men for enslaving us, you don't see them doing the exact same thing with the West Africans. You see? The only people, the only Israelites you'll have all throughout Africa, and in particular in Liberia and other parts around the world, are those of us who migrated in different land masses after slavery was abolished. That's it. But all the rest of the other groups that I just mentioned, they don't fit the curses of Deuteronomy 28 chapter. So they're not our people and they're not Israel, as well as the Hispanics and Native Americans. Deuteronomy 29:1. These are the words of the covenant which Yahweh commanded Moses to who? To make with the children of Israel. So he was having a conversation with all the Israelites. The Eurasians, Mongolian, Siberian, Hispanics, and Native are not our people. They're not Israel. And the West Africans are also not our people. Never came over in cargo slave ships. And the land of Moab, beside the covenant which he made with them. And Horeb. Amos 9:9. For lo, I will command and I will sift the house of who? Of Israel among all nations, like as corn his sift and his sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. And that happened during the time when the West Africans sold us to the Europeans in captivity. That's when the Creator sifted the house of Israel. Wherever Israel was scattered at that particular time is how the Creator sifted us and brought us over here on cargo slave ships. Because you're also going to find out he also had a lot of Jews, a lot of Israelites who came over here on cargo slave ships also in Europe, in places like Spain. So when you read Amos 9:9 about sifting the house of Israel, that happened during the time of the transatlantic slave trade. You see? 1 Chronicles chapter 9, verse 1, verse 3. We're going to find out that also, too, after the Babylonian and Syrian captivity, all 12 tribes returned back to the land. And that's also going to prove that the book of 2nd Ezra is totally off. Which, number one, the book of 2nd Ezra and 1st Ezra of the Apocrypha, they were all written after the death of Ezra. That's number one. Number two, the name of the Creator is not even invoked in the book of Ezra or anywhere in the Apocrypha. It says 1 Chronicles 9:1 to verse 3. So all Israel were reckoned by genealogies. It says all Israel, all 12 tribes. This was right after the Babylonian Syrian captivity. It didn't say the kingdom of Judah or the kingdom of Israel. It didn't say just the kingdom of Judah or just the kingdom of Israel. It says all Israel. They were reckoned by genealogies, and behold, they were written in the book of the kings of Israel and in Judah. That's dealing with all the tribes who were carried away to Babylon for their transgressions. Now the first inhabitants that dwelt in their possessions in their cities were who? The Israelites. All 12 tribes. It says the priests, the Levites, the Nethinims, and in Jerusalem dwelt the children of Judah and the children of Benjamin and of the children of Ephraim and Manasseh. This was right after the Babylonian and Syrian captivity. You see? I'm going to Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. Now watch this. This was also after the Babylonian and Syrian captivity. And since now these things were done, the princes came to me saying, the people of Israel and the priest. You notice that all the Israelites are being mentioned based upon them being of the seed or the bloodline of Israel, and it didn't say the kingdom of Judah. Because after the Babylonian and Assyrian captivity, all the Israelites returned back to the Holy Land. The Hispanics and natives never came over here in quote-unquote boats or ships, based upon 2nd Ezra 13th chapter, after the Babylonian and Assyrian captivity. That's a lie. And the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to the abominations, even the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, and the Egyptians, and the Amorites. Ezra chapter 10, verse 1. After the Babylonian and Assyrian captivity. Now when Ezra had prayed, and when he had confessed, weeping and casting himself down before the house of God, there assembled unto him. Let's see who assembled unto him, if it was only 3 tribes. Of who? Of Israel, Yahushua. All 12 tribes, the northern and the southern kingdom. A very great congregation of men and women and children, for the people wept very sore. So based upon the context of Deuteronomy 28 chapter, and as well as all the other verses, Hispanics and Native Americans, yet again, they're not Israelites. They are not our people. And for all you RBG, Pan-African, lost niggas out there, calling ourselves Israel, trying to say that the Sub-Saharan and West Africans are Israelites and they're our people and they're part of the covenant, you're wrong also. They're not our people. They're our enemies. So with that, I'm going to sign out and I'm going to say shalom.